I'm Gary.
This is Austin.
And Gritty.
And this is Midwest Mike's coming back at you live with another episode of our predictions for the upcoming NFL season. So as you're listening to this, we are another day closer to the kickoff of the NFL season, which obviously starts right here in Kansas City in a little stadium known as Arrowhead.
No. Yeah.
Burrowhead.
Yeah.
G-E-H-A?
Jihad.
It's
Yeah.
That's Jihad Field to you.
Jihad Field.
It's Jihad Field, but it's Arrowhead Stadium.
At Burrowhead.
Burrowhead. There you go.
Burrowhead. That's like a joke to us now.
It was a joke then, but it was serious then.
That's crazy, man.
It was real serious then. And to think about all the stuff that's going on in Kansas City right now with Chris Jones and how he said, see y'all at Burrowhead after his last press conference before they hit the championship game, and to have all this stuff going on this summer just... It's demoralizing, man. It's sad, but at the same time, it's a business, so show up or don't show up or shut up is basically what it is at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we'll take 30 seconds on this. Chris Jones play week one? I say no.
Absolutely not. My deadline was Monday.
Yep.
And
Okay.
Monday, it's now Wednesday, so.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah. So, all right, we are going to preview in this episode the NFC North. By now, you have heard all of our AFC predictions, other than playoffs, but you've heard our division winners, for all four of those divisions. So now we're going to start with the NFC North. And, I'll just throw it out there, okay? My seller team for this division is really down to two teams. I think it's going to either be Green Bay or Chicago.
Wow.
At the bottom of this division.
At the bottom of the division.
Yes,
Okay.
in the cellar.
Okay, in the
Oh,
cellar.
I thought he was
saying,
No.
sell us on these two teams.
This guy's a Chicago fan.
Like the Bears.
I think it's kind of a race there on which one of those teams finishes last in the division.
I think it's the Packers.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of good stuff going in Chicago. I still don't trust their defense. I think their defense is still kind of up in the air. But the one thing that a lot of these quarterbacks and these scenarios that you hear, grumblings of them being disgruntled is teams and front offices don't give them weapons. Justin Fields has weapons now. So there can't be 3 and 4 win seasons. It's time for you to produce. If you can't produce, next man in line. It's a business, like we just said. I think they'll be the third place team. I think they'll have some real competitive games. The North is always great rivalries in that. In both Norths, the AFC North and the NFC North, great rivalry games. And yeah, I think the Bears. I think the Bears are number 3 team, and I think the Packers will finish 4th.
And I think the Packers, it all depends on what Jordan Love does and how well he plays. But again, I think I'm with you. I think it's time for Justin Fields. He's got to prove it or move on. They got to move off him.
What other quarterback do you know that's 8-20 and still gets chances?
Oh, no, he's 6-21.
6-21, sorry. 6-21 and still gets chances.
This dude.
I don't understand. I don't understand it.
And really, the thing is, too, his EPA was towards the middle, towards the end of last year. I was looking some of this stuff up because with the Packers, I know for a fact that they won't be a winning team, but I can't get a feel on where they're at between 4 wins and 7 wins. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be horrendous or horrible. I don't have any idea how Jordan Love is. I thought from what I've seen from Jordan Love, I actually thought he came into Arrowhead and actually played decent for what the situation that he was thrown into. So I actually think that's a pretty positive for Green Bay fans. But what I do know about Chicago is I do not think Justin Fields is very good. I really don't, and I also feel like Chicago, if you take a look at their defense, probably a bottom 5 defense to me, because they did have stars on that team, and they traded him away last year with Roquan, and there's nobody anchoring that defense. And that
they traded away Mac too, right?
Yeah.
Khalil.
That was before last season.
Before last season. And actually, you know what?
Was that a training camp trade?
I
feel like that was close to training camp.
Like the Chargers, the Chargers
year.
grabbed them. And the thing is, it's a good trade for both parties because the Bears are rebuilding or whatever, and Chargers were pushing in their chips.
The Chargers were on the doorstep.
Which they should be. Anyways, then the Roquan Smith trade, I thought it was a good trade actually because it made out. And then I thought they pulled off a pretty good trade when they got DJ Moore, who to me actually is a top 5 receiver. Yeah, you see a lot of you go back and watch some of his highlights, and this dude is an elite route runner. He can catch. He is his issue is he's been paired up with not great quarterback play
at all.
Yeah, so I agree with you when it's time for Justin Fields. Like, can we agree if they miss playoffs, this is it?
I mean, it should be. I mean, we look at San Francisco, and Trey Lance didn't even get a chance. Would we agree? He didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
And now he's traded. He's gone. He's on to the next chapter of his life. But Justin Fields continually rolls out there. Another Ohio State quarterback.
Yep. I mean, these are, to me, the Packers and the Bears are 4 to 6 win teams, in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Bears
the Bears.
like 6 wins.
I think the Bears, in my mind, I have them 6 to 8 somewhere in there.
Okay.
But again, that's determined based off of Justin Fields, his offensive line, which they didn't do anything to solidify.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole fact of him, the whole offseason, he runs for his life. Well, you didn't do anything to solidify that. Plus, there's grumblings out there now that, there might be a connection between the Chiefs and the Bears on possibly making a Chris Jones thing happen, which would make sense with Ryan Poles being up there, which would give a boost to their defense.
Yeah.
That would give a boost to the middle of their defense, which...
Yeah, if I was Chicago, I'd be trying to pull that off.
If I was the Chiefs, I'd be trying to pull that off because Chris Jones is coming with a first-round pick, and a first-round pick from the Bears is an early pick next year.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So, I mean, I think it'd be a trade for both teams. I think it'd be great. They unloaded the Roquan money. You have money. Make something happen.
Yep. And Green Bay actually opens on the road at Chicago. So these two teams play week 1.
Immediately.
So, I mean, we're going to kind of know, I think, which one is the better team, at least coming out of the gate. Let's move on, talk about Minnesota, who, I mean, I have next to the division. I got them at second. I got them 8 to 9 wins, I think.
I'm in the same boat.
They're a middle-of-the-road team. I think, and we'll get there when we get to the playoffs, but, I mean, 8 or 9 wins in the NFC might get you in as a wild card.
I agree.
Whereas in the AFC, we talked about it. There's a 10-win team that might not get in.
I mean, there's an 11-win team that might not get in.
Yeah. So, I mean,
very top heavy.
Very top heavy. I mean, and not so much top. I mean, it's top heavy, but there's just so many good teams right there in that middle part of the conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that if you just flip 2 games, you can go from a 9-win team to a 12-win team to an 11-win team, whatever.
Yeah.
Just flip it. I mean,
and Minnesota opens at home against Tampa Bay.
That's a W.
Yeah, I mean, that's a W.
What time's that game?
It's a noon game.
Oh, that's a dub.
So
that's a dub.
You're getting dubbed.
That's
Kirk
Cole's
Cousins.
cash. That's Cole's cash.
Wait, you know what? I haven't ran through their schedule. How many
primetime games?
So I don't remember. Is he still good at 3:30?
Yeah, he's still
average.
Yeah.
He's average.
So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that are at noon.
Oh! This is a 13-win team.
That might be an 8-win team.
No, this is a 13.
That's what I'm saying. Like 8, I feel like is their floor.
If they play at noon, Kirk Cousins is the guy.
That's a team.
I've never seen a quarterback with stats like that.
No.
How are you that good at noon and that bad at prime time, and then you're like right smack dab in the middle at 3:20?
It's just a guy who goes to bed when his kids do.
I guess, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Minnesota's a fun team to root for because Cousins is such a good dude, and Jay Jeff is a very, very likable wide receiver. And a lot of the stuff that organization does. The fans, as far as I know, are solid fan base. Do the skull thing. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
And I have 0 bad things to say about their offense. I actually think they won't miss Delvin Cook at all. I don't think they will.
I don't think that story got as much hype as it should have. Right?
I think he'll be a great
I think
addition for
pretty
the Jets, but I don't think Minnesota will miss him as much as people think.
I think their Achilles will be their defense, like it was last year. I think some of those games where they won by one score, they'll lose by one score. They're getting a bunch of shootouts. I will say this about Minnesota: if they're on and you get a chance to watch them, I think all their games are going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing here with their spreads, I mean, this will tell you everything you need to know about what Vegas thinks of the Minnesota Vikings. They're 2.5-point dogs to the Niners, which everybody here agrees the Niners is a good team. That's in Minnesota.
Okay, home dog.
And then they are 2.5-point favorites to the Saints.
What the heck?
You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like Vegas or Minnesota is kind of that middle team. We don't really know what they're going to be. Vegas can't figure them out. I mean, they have a lot of 1.5 to the Broncos, favored in the Broncos.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously these lines will adjust, but
because as the season goes on, but as we open.
Yeah, as we open.
I mean, Vegas can't figure out what this team is going to be.
As like big money comes in. And as Vegas is like,
they're 1-point favorites. They're 1-point favorites to the Raiders.
And I think the Raiders are going to be really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's just hard to pick this team.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, are we all in agreement there? They're probably the second place team in that division.
No, I still have them winning.
Brady's
that division.
got one.
I have them winning that division. We'll get into playoffs and stuff later, but I have two teams coming out of that division. So my top two teams are coming from there. I have Detroit taking second, probably by a game, something right in there, a half game, to the Vikings, and I have the Vikings taking the top spot. I like both of these teams.
Okay.
I love both of these teams. I love Detroit's defense. Their offense was super powerful last year, top 5 defense, I believe. And they're gonna get to see the ultimate test. Like when the lights are the brightest, are you still that same team?
Yeah.
And they're going to get to figure that out, when they come to town and see us in Arrowhead. So
one thing I like about Detroit a lot, and one reason I haven't picked first, is their coaching staff. I actually see, if you go back and look since he came in, they've just been developing momentum. The entire time he's been there. The whole culture has changed and different. If I was a Lions fan, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, can we go ahead and extend Campbell?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? That team, that organization has looked for stability for a long time. I mean, dating back to the Barry Sanders days. Mm-hmm. Barry Sanders retired early with the rushing title, the career rushing title in his hands, the rushing record in his hands, and just walked away from the game.
Yeah. I mean,
he may or may not have broke it. We don't know. He may or may not have.
But all signs point.
But you know who did?
Oh, the 30-year running back.
You brought it up.
The 30-year running back, Emmett.
You brought it up.
Best ability is availability.
Yeah.
Emmett was always available.
Yeah.
He was.
If I got to run behind 5 Mack trucks, anybody could have a 25-year career.
Hey. I'm just saying.
But you're right. But Barry would have broke it, and then
maybe
Emmett would have had to chase it.
Maybe Barry would have broke it.
Barry was going to break it.
Can't say that for sure.
Yes, I can.
No.
Everything trajectory-wise, it's just like the same thing with Chris Jones. Oh, well, he's going to be good for the next 7. No, he's not. His career trajectory has been low with a couple spikes. Those are the anomalies. Yeah. Barry was a dog. And Barry walked away from the organization and retired. Mm-hmm. And then you fast forward 25 years, one of the greatest wide receivers ever put the pads on did the exact same thing. Yeah. There is no stability in that organization. I think Dan Campbell is that guy.
Now, they had there was a coach they had.
Jim Caldwell.
So Caldwell.
Yeah.
And they actually should have hung on to him, I thought. And instead they went and let him go, and then they got worse.
Yep.
And like you said, unstable. One thing that happens is...
Who did they bring in? Was it Matt Patricia?
I believe he might have.
No, Matt Patricia?
There was somebody between them.
Caldwell and Matt Patricia?
There was somebody
in between.
Oh, my goodness. I can't.
Hold on, I'll Google it. But I think Detroit...
What a bad hire.
Yeah. Horrible hire. For him to go back and be doing the same thing.
Isn't it? You know what? And he wasn't even doing the same thing. For some reason, the Patriots had him as the OC.
Yeah. just to get him back, right? Just to get him back. I mean,
weird.
That's what I'm saying with Detroit. Like, there's just so much.
You know what I think?
Question marks. There's so many question marks with that whole organization. Was how it's ran.
And I don't know if I'm right or not on this. I think Detroit is owned by some old lady, right?
Yeah, and
Yes.
actually, what show was that?
No, it did go straight from Jim Caldwell to Matt Patricia.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
So
Horrible. And
Jim
Jim Caldwell was like just under 500.
you had Jim Schwartz.
500.
Yeah,
Jim Schwartz from 2009 to 2013.
a little bit of
Who was
stability.
80 and 29.
A little stability.
Or no, not 80 and 29. That's games coached. 80 was games coached. He was 29 and 51. That's that.
Yo, check out Caldwell's record.
Caldwell was 36 and 28.
Yeah, I was about to say he's
So he had a
500
winning
right in
record.
there. Yeah, over 500.
He was there
563.
3 seasons. Okay, 2014 to 2017.
Didn't he take Detroit to the playoffs
Yep.
one year?
Does that mean he took him twice?
Did he take them twice?
Yes.
Playoffs.
Oh no, games.
Games coached in the playoffs. Caldwell coached.
2 losses. They went twice.
Yeah.
He went twice
Two-
with Jim
twice to the
Caldwell
playoffs.
and went to Matt Patricia.
2 out of the 3 years they went to the playoffs under Jim Caldwell,
and went to Matt Patricia.
who ended up 13 and 28
Wow.
in 42 games. And then they had Daryl Bevel as an interim guy.
After they fired Patricia.
Was 1 and 4.
After they fired Patricia. I don't ever look at the interim guys just because.
Now I'll play devil's advocate. He's got it pulled up. Dan Kimball's win-loss record is not good.
It's 12 and 21 right now.
To my eyes, that organization is in a better place from where he took it over.
I agree. Now I will say this: the expectations for me, like if you're a fan, what's your expectation? Like, what's your expectation on them this year?
On Detroit,
Like you'd be like as a fan, you'd be like happy. Would you be happy with 9 wins?
9 or 10 wins.
And I'd be like, we're going in the right
right at that
direction.
500 mark, maybe a little over. Yeah.
On a secondary thing, is it time to start looking around for who's taking over for Goff?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think so too, and I think
Yes.
Jared Goff's a good quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean,
I think they should be thanking McVay for moving off of Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. But I think they should thank McVay's like, thank you, Sean McVay. You turned Jared Goff into a good quarterback.
I mean, you turned Jared Goff into a Super Bowl.
Yes,
Is what you
You
did.
turned Jared
you
Goff
turned Jared
into
Goff
the-
into a Super Bowl appearance.
the greatest Monday night game of all time.
Yeah.
And,
a
he
Super
beat,
Bowl
and he
appearance.
beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
When Mahomes is lights out, and
Yeah.
he beat us.
So, Austin, you got Detroit. I got Detroit, right?
Correct.
And I got
And then
Minnesota.
you've got Minnesota. Okay.
I got Minnesota. I think Detroit's probably a 8 to 10 win team, and I think Minnesota is probably
They might be right in there.
11 to 12, somewhere
See,
right in
okay.
there.
And
So again, you flip a couple games, and you're talking about 2 teams that can be interchanged.
And that's pretty much what I have, just the opposite.
Yeah.
I think 10 to 12 for Detroit, and then, 8 to 10 for Minnesota. So,
This will be another. I mean, this will be an interesting conversation to have once we're like 4 games in.
Yeah.
and we're kind of getting a vibe. I think Minnesota gets a big favor for. They're open with Tampa. Is that right?
yes.
Yeah.
Who does Detroit open with?
Kansas City.
Kansas
so,
City.
Duh.
Detroit.
So one team will be 0-1, one team will be 1-0.
Detroit's first 4 are Kansas City, at Kansas City, obviously, Seattle, Atlanta at home, and then at Green Bay.
Yeah, I think I looked at it, and I was
Dang,
like,
that's like 2 and 2.
and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking,
See,
2
I
and 2.
think they'll go into Green Bay and win.
That's what I'm saying.
They
That's-
almost beat
that's
Aaron
my-
Rodgers in his
that's
final
my-
game in Lambeau.
That's my 2 and 2.
Actually, they did. They did.
3-1.
They kept Green Bay out of the
They
playoffs.
start 0-2.
Who's their second game?
They play
against?
Seattle.
Seattle
They're gonna lose to
at
Seattle.
home,
I think they
Yeah.
lose to Seattle.
I really like Seattle a lot.
and then Minnesota's first 4.
But we
Tampa
still
Bay
get 2 and 2. We still
at
get the 2 and 2.
Philly, and then Chargers at home
Holy
at
smokes.
Carolina.
Who is
So
that?
I think that's 2 and 2.
Who is that? The Vikings?
Yeah.
Vikings. I think that's 2 and 2. You got
Tampa's-
Tampa at Philly, Chargers, and
So
then at Carolina.
So let's go through the spreads of those games just real quick. Minnesota by 6, Philly by 6.5. The Chargers favored by 1.5. By 1.
Where's it at?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. It's so weird. Like that's what I was saying with the Vikings. You just don't know. Nobody knows because, like you said, Austin, the defense suspect. Offense is probably still going to be really good. Mm-hmm. But what
I
they
don't
look
know.
like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You used that a lot last year. I like that one.
What?
Who's this team? I don't know.
I don't know. Who's this?
And there's a lot of those teams in the NFC on the NFC side.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, there you have it. There's our predictions for the NFC North. Anything else to throw in on this division before we wrap it up?
No. I would say if the Bears end up getting Chris Jones, I think that's an uptick for them for by 1 or 2 games. And if the Bears can get, if I'm a Chicago fan, I am pumped for this year because this is the make or break year.
It is.
I really want to see what Fields is, and this is the year where I think I already know what he is. I think he's a fun run around quarterback. I don't think he's elite.
yeah,
And I don't think he's great. I think he has flashes to be good. And if you had an amazing defense, you'd probably be looking okay.
hang around in a couple games. His athletic ability beat you. Cool.
If you had a top 5 defense and you ran a playbook kind of like the way Philly runs or the way Indy's going to run this year, it would be just fine because you'd ball control the heck, and you have a shot at every game. I think Fields will, if he gets behind, it's DJ Moore or it's nothing.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
that's it
All
on
right.
that. And then Green Bay, same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think they're going to be terrible.
We'll see.
So, all right. Well, I'm Gary,
This is awesome.
Yeah, Gritty.
and this has been the NFC North. We'll see you guys tomorrow.